Hello friends, welcome to Lukman IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 22nd May 2021. Let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, for mains purpose and for prelims purpose, these are the important articles. First, let us take overview of all these articles. Yes, the first article, the AIDS fight offers a COVID vaccine patent pathway. On page number 6 or editorial page, this particular article is having context of patent waiver that India along with South Africa sought at WTO. The article is providing very good inputs that how vaccine production can be ramped up and it can be made accessible at the affordable cost, especially to the developing and underdeveloped countries. So, the methods like compulsory licenses, voluntary licenses, all these aspects are discussed here. Which are these? We have to understand and take input from GS2 governance and COVID-19 perspective. GS3 paper, IPR, intellectual property rights part is also important here. Next, fitful approach. The context here is regarding recently the central government had issued notice to Facebook company over its WhatsApp social media platform regarding its privacy policy and saying that it is to some extent differentiate Indian citizens from some of the European countries and its citizens. So yes, we have to understand that from GS2 paper governance part, what is this privacy policy, the background of this, and then we have to understand the analysis of the recent step taken by the government. Then extending safety. The context of this particular editorial on page number 6 is regarding recent changes in the vaccination policy of the government. Like for example, the lactating mothers are recommended to take vaccines now. Along with that, the delay between first and second doses of the vaccine, there are some changes made in that time period also. We have to understand that and the reasons behind these changes. Then Supreme Court, personal guarantors liable for corporate debt. The Supreme Court has now given the verdict regarding the insolvency and bankruptcy code proceedings against the corporate debt, or we can say corporates and their personal guarantors also. The Supreme Court said that they cannot be separated from each other. So, from GS3 paper economy and GS2 paper governance part, we have to take the follow up here. Specifically prelims related articles, a green warrior to core is no more. The context here is a recent death of Sundarlal Bahuguna, the environmentalist and the Gandhian, who was at forefront of this Chipko movement during 1970s in Uttarakhand state of India. Right. So, we will take input some important initiatives and let us say work of Sundarlal Bahuguna and about Chipko movement also. Then USSR era INS Rajput decommissioned at Visakhapatnam. So yes, we have to have follow up on some important, let us say defense vessels, naval vessels also. This is important from let us say defense technology part in science and technology part for prelims examination also. And lastly, some COVID-19 related developments. We are having follow up on these developments on day to day basis. And lastly, some daily prelims MCQs that we are solving on daily basis on the present day developments in the Hindu newspaper. Okay, let us go into details of all these articles. First article, the AIDS fight offers COVID-19 vaccine patent pathway. We have to understand that at present, at world level itself, the vaccine production is not at the faster rate. At the same time, the vaccines which are being produced, these companies have patented these vaccines and its manufacturing processes, and that is why those underdeveloped countries and some of the developing countries, people living in these countries are not able to have access to these vaccines at the same time at the affordable cost. So, to deal with this pandemic, global pandemic effectively, what we need to have at present is to make these vaccines at accessible and at affordable prices. For that purpose, there are two important pathways. First thing, that voluntary licensing should be let us say made available to these vaccine makers, especially in developing countries, who can make these vaccines in a low input resources, and therefore the cost can be reduced. Okay, so how this particular voluntary licensing system works? Along with that, the second option, that is compulsory licensing by the governments of different countries. What is this provision also, and which among them is good or preferred by the vaccine manufacturers also? Let us try to understand this. First, voluntary licensing by patent owners. As the name suggests, voluntary licensing. In this, what happens is the license owner or the company which developed and manufactures this vaccine can voluntarily come with agreement with the another company, especially in developing countries. It has large manufacturing base in developing countries. At the same time, cheap labor is available and the inputs, that is raw material, is available. Then voluntarily it can be in agreement with that company, and yes, it can also share some technological transfers or technological know-how with that company. And now the company which is located in the developing countries can manufacture the vaccines and its cost can be reduced. A similar kind of mechanism was used for dealing with the AIDS pandemic. Okay, so what happened, especially during the last 3 to 4 decades, we know that earlier whatever the treatment or let's say drugs that were developed to treat this AIDS disease, first line of drugs, they were developed by some of the pharma companies in Western countries, and they were very costly drugs, and that's why they were not accessible at the affordable cost, especially to those living in developing and underdeveloped countries. So that's why many companies came with the voluntary licensing agreement with the manufacturing companies, especially in India. We can see that the pharmaceutical industry or manufacturers are available with a large manufacturing base. So these companies came in with an agreement with this, and in return the royalty of some percentage was given to those vaccine developing pharma companies of the Western world, and in this manner the cost of these drugs were reduced. For example, tenofovir, a first line treatment for HIV AIDS, has come down in price from $200 to $500 per person per year to $39 per person per year in low income countries, now that 13 Indian based pharmaceutical companies are producing it. So this is how voluntary licensing was helpful to deal with this AIDS pandemic at that time. A similar kind of system can be used at present, especially India, which is also called as the pharmacy of the world. Why? Because the pharmaceutical industries are well set up in the country. However, to produce these vaccines and drugs in the country, such kind of voluntary licensing agreement should be there among these companies with the Western companies, okay, or those who have developed these vaccines. Second method is that the compulsory licensing system. Now we know that at present the patent rights are guarded by WTO agreement, TRIPS agreement, right? So this TRIPS agreement protects the patent rights of the manufacturers or developers of these vaccines and drugs, and now we can understand that there is waiver sought by India along with South Africa to such kind of let's say patent and those rules under TRIPS agreement. Okay, so yes, government can issue compulsory licenses which override patent rights to allow local production or import of drugs by generic manufacturers in the event of public health crisis. Now WHO has defined such public health crisis like malaria, dengue outbreak. Okay, so yes, surely COVID-19 pandemic also we can say equivalent to such public health emergency system. At the same time, we have to understand since 2003, this right has been enshrined in the Doha Declaration Addendum to WTO's TRIPS agreement. And this is what India and South Africa are lobbying for. Recently, USA also supported India and South Africa, this proposal by India and South Africa. However, some of the European countries like Germany, they are actually opposing this proposal. Now, why voluntary licensing is preferred by Indian pharma companies? Okay, these generic manufacturers, why they prefer voluntary licensing? First thing, in voluntary licensing, there is more goodwill between companies, while compulsory licenses often come with legal battle brought by patent holder. Why such kind of legal battle? Because the governments are actually issuing such compulsory licensing, and therefore this is to some extent the violation of these patent rights of patent holders, and that's why the legal battle is their continuation. However, voluntary licensing is there is more goodwill, both companies are agreeing voluntarily and some kind of royalty is given to the patent owner. So this is a good thing. Second, voluntary licenses also enable production to begin more expeditiously as they usually are accompanied by technological transfer. So this is a good thing, because when there is voluntary licensing, the parent company or the patent owner also shares the technological know-how, and therefore the generic manufacturers, these pharma companies in developing countries, they can start immediately such kind of manufacturing facilities in their plants, right? So that's why voluntary licensing is preferred. Then other arguments which provides for such patent waiver is billions of dollars in the government aid given to these companies to help develop COVID-19 treatments. You can give the example of AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca, this vaccine development by the AstraZeneca, around 97% of the funding came from UK government and other such let's say international funding organizations. Along with that, we have to understand that patents are not ironclad ownership rights, they are temporary contracts that balances the public interest with claims of innovator. So yes, those patent owners should be aware about this, that it is in their favor itself when they come in voluntary licensing system with these manufacturers, especially during the global pandemic that we are facing at present. It builds their good image also. Along with that, they can put some restriction also, that whatever the manufacturing of these drugs or vaccines that are happening, that should be sold in the low income countries itself. Along with that, they should also understand that if they do not bring down the cost of these vaccines, they will not be able to get the profits from developing countries and underdeveloped countries. This is the basic thing they should also understand. In future, surely they will come or let's say opt for this voluntary licensing. Okay. So yes, what kind of question we can expect here? Discuss the available options with the countries to make COVID-19 vaccines affordable and available in a massive quantities. What lessons can be taken with this respect from the fight against AIDS? Okay, so we can understand there are two systems, voluntary licensing and compulsory licensing. Voluntary licensing is some kind of, let's say, voluntary aspect involved, while in compulsory licensing coercive aspect is involved. Therefore, voluntary license is more preferred, we can say. Fine? Okay. Now, moving on. Fitful approach. The context of this article is that recently Ministry of Electronics and IT on behalf of central government a notice to messaging service provider WhatsApp to withdraw its updated privacy policy. Let us try to understand the background. Yes, in the beginning of this year 2021, WhatsApp came up with its new privacy policy, which created a huge uproar over its users. The privacy, right to privacy, to some extent was being abridged, or we can say violated, and that's why the concerns were raised. Okay, so we have to understand what was this privacy policy. Okay, so according to this privacy policy, users would no longer be able to stop the app from sharing data such as location and number with its parent Facebook company unless they delete their accounts altogether. Suppose I am the WhatsApp user and so I am accepting the terms of this privacy policy, then I will be compulsorily sharing the data with the parent company, that is Facebook company. If I want to stop such sharing, then I have to altogether delete my account on WhatsApp. This was the aspect involved here in this privacy policy. WhatsApp initially proposed February 8 deadline, but intense backlash against the decision, triggering an exodus of its users to rival platforms such as Signal, forced WhatsApp to stop update up to 15th May. However, now recently it decided not to enforce this privacy policy at all. Okay, so yes, though WhatsApp is arguing or justifying that the right to privacy is maintained, data of each and every individual is protected and not shared with third party. It is continuously, let's say, assuring its users on this behalf. However, the people are not convinced, the government is also not convinced now. WhatsApp privacy updates are designed to make business interactions that take place on its platform easier while also personalizing ads on Facebook. That's why the company came up with this, and through this new policy or this initiative, the business angle or commercial angle is brought by this company, right? Along with that, in analysis we can understand, in its affidavit in Delhi High Court, WhatsApp has reportedly said that it is not forcing users to accept the updated privacy policy. They have an option to delete their account. If they are not accepting this privacy policy, they can delete the account. So that means it is accepting this risk. The company is accepting this risk of loss of its users. So why government is interfering in such kind of private affairs? This is how we have to understand. If WhatsApp is ready to take risk of users leaving it, why should government intervene in this process? We have to also understand why government is intervening. There is some kind of discrimination by the company, especially regarding the discrimination between Indian and European citizens. However, this discrimination is not by the company, but because of domestic legal obligations. What are these? Yes, data protection regime in Europe. Europe citizens are protected by strong data laws that go by the name General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. We are expecting question here, and you need to be aware about such data protection regime law is available to European citizens. Okay, General Data Protection Regulation, and according to this GDPR, WhatsApp is supposed to protect the data of the people and not divest or compulsorily sharing of this data is not forced on the people or its users. Okay, so we don't have such data protection regime or law at present in India. At the same time, WhatsApp has reportedly said that in its affidavit that it is being singled out and that its policy is not different from those private apps such as Google, Big Basket, Koo, as well as public apps such as Arogya Setu, Bheem app, IRCTC. So why the WhatsApp company or this platform is being singled out? So such allegations are being made by the company also. Okay, so in this manner we have to understand from the governance aspect. Yes, why government is interfering? Surely one aspect is very important. The WhatsApp has around 2 billion users around the world, and around 50 million, or we can say 1/4 of the 2 billion users are there in India itself. So looking at the level of use and the spread of use of this application, that's why the government may have intervened. If suddenly people are forced to stop using this app, and to some extent a similar kind of application with such smoothness is not available, alternative is not available at present, and people are not aware about these alternatives. So that's why we have to understand. Along with that, the governance aspect involves to some extent a regulation by the state, and a regulation especially for the protection of rights of the people. Here the right to privacy, which is the ingredient or inalienable right of the people under article 21, right to life. So that is to be protected. Fine. Okay. Next, extending safety. The context here is recent changes by the government in vaccination policy at national level. So what are these changes? First thing, the government has recommended lactating women to take vaccines. Up till now there was no such decision, and yes, still the pregnant women are not recommended to take vaccines. Those who have recovered from an infection ought to be getting vaccinated 3 months hence. The recommendation earlier was 4 to 8 weeks. Now it is extended. Again, those inoculated with first disease who have tested positive should defer their second dose by 3 months after clinical recovery from COVID-19. Such deferment is done basically on two reasons. First is there is vaccine shortage, and such kind of deferment will help the government to some extent the vaccine available by the next 3 months, okay, through this ramping up of manufacturing facilities. Then second aspect is that Covishield vaccine appeared to be more protective in those above 18 with longer dose interval. This is on the basis of the clinical trials done by AstraZeneca company, and therefore many such Western countries, European countries are also increasing the time period between first and second dose of this Covishield vaccine. This is a good thing on, let's say, building the strong immunity through the production of antibodies. The second aspect is vaccine shortage. In next 6 months, 3 to 6 months, the vaccine production will be ramped up by the government and vaccine will be made available. So this is we have to have follow up on COVID-19 vaccination policy and changes in it. Okay. Yes. Supreme Court, personal guarantors liable for corporate debt. So basically it is talking about the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code IBC proceedings against those let's say corporate debtors who have failed to repay their loans to the creditors, right, or banks we can say. So here the Supreme Court has now upheld the government move to allow lenders, largely they are banks, to initiate insolvency proceedings against personal guarantors who are usually promoters of big businesses, houses, along with stressed corporate entities for whom they gave guarantee. Okay. So basically the Supreme Court provided argument here that intrinsic connection is present between personal guarantors and their corporate debtors. Okay. So that's why such kind of proceedings are to be separately started under IBC. So there was one notification on 15th November 2019 by the government allowing creditors, usually financial institutions and banks, to move against personal guarantors under the IBC code. So this was now held legal and valid by Supreme Court. Okay. So you need to be aware about this development from governance perspective and economy part also. Next, green warrior to core is no more. Yes, the environmentalist, the Gandhian Sundarlal Bahuguna died because of COVID-19 complications. His work, he was one of the founders of Chipko movement, leader. So in 1970s, to save Himalayan forest, especially in Uttarakhand region. Mr. Bahuguna also led charge against construction of big dams in Himalayas in 1980s, he opposed the construction of Tehri Dam, okay, and sat for too long hunger strike against the dam, which proved to be no avail. Okay, the dam was built ultimately. Tehri Dam, you need to be aware about this. It is built in Uttarakhand district, Uttarakhand state, across Bhagirathi River. Bhagirathi River along with Alaknanda, the confluence at Dev Prayag, and then it is known as Ganga River. Okay, so across Bhagirathi River, Tehri Dam is built in Uttarakhand. Okay, so multi-purpose dam, hydroelectricity and irrigation and other aspects of drinking water and all. He wrote about problems of deforestation for years, drawing link between lack of tree cover and drying up springs in Himalaya. He also led a movement of women's group, Mahila Mandals, to enforce prohibition in Tehri Garhwal. Okay, his 400-kilometer Kashmir to Kohimi Padayatra in 1981-82 to heighten public awareness, especially on forest protection, was a landmark. Okay, so such kind of initiatives, the work of Sundarlal Bahuguna is noted one. Yes, you need to be aware about his work, especially for prelims as well as mains examination. You can note down his name in essay paper when we talk about environment protection and conservation. Okay, Chipko movement, Sundarlal Bahuguna. So yes, what was this Chipko movement? You can be knowing about this because it is given in NCERT also. In one of the NCERT there is one box. In that box this specific information about Chipko movement is also given. Yes, it was started in 1973, evolved as a response to environmental degradation in Uttarakhand. Basically, Chipko movement means hugging the trees directly by the locals, forest dwellers, and those whose livelihood was dependent on these trees and the forest. In especially the Uttarakhand region, Himalayas, to break the hold of colonial ideas of forest exploitation and suggest that new models of community-based forest. The Gandhian methods of satyagraha and non-violence was used in this movement. So you need to be aware about some of the movements that use the Gandhian principles. Okay, so Chipko movement was one of them. Then interconnected factors along with environment protection, forest conservation, livelihood, sustainability, equity and dignity was also connected factors. Leaders Gaura Devi, Suraksha Devi, Sudesha Devi, Bachni Devi, Chandi Prasad Bhatt, Viruksha Devi and Sundarlal Bahuguna. These are the leaders of Chipko movement. This Chipko movement basically is inspired from the 1970s, let's say, protest in a village, Prasanna Khamkar of Rajasthan. 363 Bishnois sacrificed their lives to save khejri trees by hugging these trees. Khejri tree, very famous in Rajasthan, very important tree. We can say that many of the aspects of this tree, be it medicinal aspect, food, fuel, all these aspects are used from this tree by many community, especially Bishnoi communities worship this tree. Okay, so yes, basically this Chipko movement was inspired from this type of movement in the past. There was similar kind of movement called Apiko movement in Karnataka. Similar to Chipko movement, Apiko movement in Karnataka. This is also mentioned in NCERT. You need to be aware about this. Chipko movement Uttarakhand, Apiko movement Karnataka. Fine? Okay. Now, USSR era INS Rajput decommissioned. This INS Rajput was, let's say, built by the USSR and this was commissioned in Indian Navy. So this is now decommissioned. Basically, this INS Rajput participated in several important operations of Indian Navy, including Operation Aman of Sri Lanka to assist Indian peacekeeping force. Okay, Operation Aman, you need to be aware about, it is related to peacekeeping force in Sri Lanka. Fine. So yes, INS Rajput, USSR, from USSR. Okay. COVID-19 related development, Delhi High Court held the government's imposition of GST on oxygen concentrators imported for personal use as unconstitutional. Already Delhi government had requested to remove such kind of GST, but the government did not respond favorably, and now the Delhi High Court has declared such kind of imposition of GST on oxygen concentrator even for personal use, imported for personal use, as unconstitutional, and said oxygen concentrator constitutes life-saving device during COVID-19 pandemic. That's why GST is not to be imposed on this. This is important follow-up in the COVID-19 developments at national stage. Yes, some important let's say practice prelims MCQs. Today we have given these MCQs related to Tehri Dam and Sundarlal Bahuguna, right? So yes, try to solve these MCQs. You can download this PDF for your study purpose, further study purpose and revision from the description. The link is provided in the description of this video. Along with that, the detailed model answers of these questions along with some other practice questions on daily basis are provided on our Lukman IAS Telegram channel. To join the Telegram channel, the link is provided again in the description of this video. Okay, so you can join the Telegram channel where we are also providing some of the videos like the Hindu analysis and other some MCQ based videos on daily basis, so you can have follow up on them also. Fine. Yes, these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Lukman IAS has come up with test series. Those students who want to have practice on so let's say specific subjects like ethics, polity, improve upon them within next 2 months, as UPSC has postponed prelims examination to 10th October. So to know more about these test series, you can contact Lukman IAS